want to talk to you guys about our one of our core main staple products here at Pure B2B is content syndication, right? We've talked about Ladero a lot, right? And how Ladero is kind of our main offering when it comes to sales buyers. And of course, Ladero as a platform can be sold to marketers too. But historically, and if you found yourself at a trade show or a conference, or you just ran into a marketer on the street, if they heard Pure B2B, now Demand Science, they would be like, oh, the content syndication company. Like, that's what we've done. That's been our specialty. That's what we've been largely known for, is content syndication. It is the act of taking our clients' content, right, their resources, their white papers, articles, blogs, infographics, case studies, on-demand webinars, infographics, all that kind of thought leadership material. And they spend a lot of time, money, and energy creating this material. And what it does is it helps cement them as a thought leader in the space. That's why people create this stuff. But once you create an ebook, for example, or a white paper about top 3 ways IBM helps small businesses elevate their IT, whatever. Once they spend all this time and energy creating these pieces of content, the hard work begins. And that is promoting this content and trying to get it out in front of as many people as possible for them to click and engage with and things like that. You go to pretty much any company, like I was just bouncing around on OneTrust the other day, some random company. By the way, I've never been to this website before. I just know they're going to come through with some resources. At the top of a lot of companies' websites, especially B2B tech companies, they all have a resources library. All of them. Sometimes they might call them something different and they're not always at the top, but 9 times out of 10, any B2B tech company of which we sell to, right, they have this resources tab at the top and you can click their resource library. And it hosts tons of content. You can usually sort by what types of content they have, like what the topic is. You can oftentimes sort and filter by type of asset, not what it talks about, but what is it a white paper? Is it a webinar? Is it a video, infographic, guide, live event, on-demand event, data sheet, customer story, right? These folks have a pretty big resource library. And of course, you can sort by topic. Hey, I want infographics that are part of ESG, right? It narrows it down to this. So why do companies have all of this content? I know we've got some marketers on this call, so I know that some people on this call have heard the term content is king, right? Raise your hand if you've heard that slogan before, right? Content is king. It's a way content does a lot of different things, right? It serves as a way to educate current customers. It serves as a total gateway to try to attract new customers. It's a bit of a brand play. It's very versatile. You can put content on your website. You can syndicate content out. You can serve up content on the side of LinkedIn through ad display. Right? Sometimes maybe you'll see a piece of content here. You also see content here. Here's ForcePoint. They're promoting data first SASE and the way forward, an evolving landscape, whatever. Now that you're in this industry, you guys are going to see content being promoted, whereas otherwise your eyes may have just glanced past it. But everyone's trying to get you to, John, everyone's trying to get you to download this, download that, engage with this, click that. And ForcePoint knows that if you see this enough, and hell, even if you download and read this enough, like most advertising on this planet, your brain starts connecting these. And you start seeing SASE, and by the way, that's an acronym. I have no idea what it is. Anybody know what SASE is? hoping maybe someone can enlighten me. No, it's probably some BS IT thing, service solution, whatever. But eventually, if you see this enough, you'll start to equate an SASE solution, which we're not in IT, so it's not relevant to anyone on this call, but if it was, we would remember it. And I would start being like, oh, force point, SASE, force point, SASE, force point. Just like when you think of, I need a tissue, you think of the Kleenex brand, right? Because you either see it on commercial or you see it in whatever, you see it just being advertised. It's no different. But in the B2B world, right, you don't come across your generic TV commercial that you'd often come across for like B2C purchasing. So the way that a lot of companies like to advertise to you, Steve, is hidden. They try to mask it. They try to advertise to you, Steve, but they try to make it not look like an advertisement. They're not going to say, hey, buy Force Point, 50% off Labor Day sale. No, what they do is they promote a white paper in front of you that's like, hey, I bet you're dealing with these problems. Here at Force Point, here's how we've helped other people solve these problems. And a lot of times these aren't even like maybe at the very end of 10 pages. It's like, hey, if you're interested, contact our team. But it's not really like this direct sales approach. They're trying to build their brand, build their recognition, establish themselves as a thought leader in whatever space they're in. And by doing that long enough, consistent enough in front of enough faces, it starts to resonate. And if I'm an IT person and 2 years down the road, right, I need an SASE solution, there's a good chance that I either remember Force Point, or when I start researching, I see Force Point, I'm like, oh, they used to promote to me on LinkedIn. Whatever the case may be. That's why people have content, and that's why it's important to get content out in front of people. Now, just because someone downloads a piece of content, like let's say I'm on here, John, and I see how to build trust and value privacy with consent management platform. I realize this is not something I would buy. They are not targeting sales enablement and training buyers, but let's just say that I fit this mold. And I wanted to check out this resource. Notice how they're trying to capture my information. They don't want to just give you the piece, John. You gotta sign in blood, brother. Like you need to give them something back if you want to educate yourself. Sometimes people will have ungated content. That's the term, right? If it's gated, that means it's behind a information wall. You need to put in, you need to give to get. Sometimes people put content that's ungated. You can just download it and read till your heart's content. But most situations, they want you to put in first name, last name, what are they looking for? Email, company, and they got a couple of qualifying questions here. Best believe how you answer these questions will either route you to a sales rep or maybe not a sales rep or maybe a certain type of sales rep, whatever the case may be. They have some added layers of qualification. By downloading this piece, whether it's right from their website or whether it's through like a third-party syndication vendor like us or wherever you may have stumbled across this piece, Steve, just because you put in your information here doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to buy this right now, right? Just reading, you're just browsing around. You didn't maybe even proactively seek out this piece. You just saw something and you're like, oh, like this might help me with something I've got going on, or they're talking about a pain point I have, or I know I've got this project next year. Let me just read a little bit about it. But the act of just reading a piece doesn't necessarily make you buyer ready. Like,
I have a question. Oh.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you think that having having to go to this page every time, do you think that would in turn put you in a position where you're having leads that kind of aren't qualified, where in the situation where they just want to get more information, but you kind of tied their hands where they have to put in first name, last name?
That's a chicken or the egg conversation that marketers have had for 30 years, to gate or not to gate, right? But at the end of the day, Most people gate because people are desperate to build their database.
Yeah, more good than
and they're
bad.
willing to do anything they can to capture your information. And if you do take time to put in your info, maybe you're slightly warmer than somebody that decided they would quit and not put in their info, right? You obviously wanted this info just bad enough, John, to give a little bit, right? And
Right.
there's maybe some value there in the follow-up process. But again, it's important for us to understand that this is a top funnel tactic. It's not Google AdWords, $150 per click. It's not, this person isn't attending an hour-long webinar and asking questions and being the kid in the front of the class in first grade, right? This is just, hey, I want to learn a little bit about this. I'm going to put in my information. Just like this morning, I woke up and I read a Houston Chronicle article about the Astros win last night. It's kind of late. I don't stay up that late to watch the ninth inning. So I read a little bit about the game. But Steve, just because I read an article about the Astros, that I'm not all of a sudden in line to buy tickets to Game 6. You know what I'm saying? Maybe down the road, if the time was right and the price was right. But right now, I'm just trying to educate myself. I wouldn't have read the Chronicle article if I wasn't even a baseball fan, right? Nobody reads things that aren't relevant to them at all. But I am an Astros fan. I do enjoy baseball on occasion. So I will read the article. What content does in the grand scheme of things is this is all designed to just be little hand raisers. Like, John, there's a lot of IT people out in the world. Every company has an IT team. Some are bigger than others, but everybody's got IT. It's 2021. Like, if you have IT, pack the bags and polish the resume. Like, you might as well, you're cooked, right? And sometimes these big companies have really big IT departments. So who handles consent management? Like, we've got 5 IT people at Demand Science. We got a whole bunch of IT people in the Philippines that support them. We're hiring one more. Should I work here, John? And I don't even know who handles consent management in our IT team. And I work here. There's no way OneTrust knows. So how do they find out who the right person is? Well, maybe they'll send out content to all the people in our IT team. And if one of those 5 download this piece of content, well, that tells them this person at this company is the one that handles this topic. It's a hand raiser. I would never download this. This does not have anything to do with sales training. I'm out. Right? Look at our sales operations team. We have AJ, Eric, Rochelle, myself, Nick, Lazar, Swarupa. We have a bunch of people. We all do different things. Hell, we have 3 trainers at Pure B2B, Rochelle, Nick, and myself. Who handles what piece of training? Who would buy which training software? I don't know. Why don't you send us some content and see if it piques any of our interest, and that'll give you your answer. And the fact that they download it means that, hey, I'm the right person, and you know what? This is on my radar. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe next year. Maybe not at all. Maybe I just like to educate myself and stay up, and I like to keep up with the Joneses, right? Nobody knows. That's why it's top funnel. This is not a magic bullet. This is not a surefire way to just turnkey convert someone and just crank out revenue. If it was, believe me, we'd all be retired by now because we will have solved the marketing funnel. This process is a way to get a shit ton of people that are all the right people that handle this solution, and it's at some point on their mind and on their radar. That's the goal. It's to capture somebody in the first month of what might be an 18-month buying cycle. And yeah, you're probably thinking like, shit, I'd rather have someone that's at month 12 of an 18-month buying cycle. What am I going to do with somebody who's in month 1 out of 18 months? I'll tell you what, you're gonna nurture them And you're going to give them to your SDR team to book meetings and educate and give them more content. Maybe you'll send them some gift cards. Maybe you invite them to a live event. Maybe you go meet them at a live conference next July. But I can promise you, you're not doing any of that, Steve, unless you capture their information on day one. That's step one. Just figure out who. And you'll notice that we've got privacy notices and a few little things down here. And by hitting get resource, you are consenting to join their database, and then they've got you. Their marketing team's got you, and their sales team has you. Content allows our clients to get their resources out into the world in front of relevant people. And when those people engage, it then gives our clients the opportunity to get in front of them early and subsequently get in front of them often. Does anybody have any questions about why content even exists on planet Earth? We're tracking. Cool. So insert pure B2B. I'm going to say pure B2B and not demand science on this time around, because this is basically what we've done at pure B2B for 10 years. It's just this. We built a $100 million company just promoting content out there. I have helped lead that charge, and even I don't know how we've done it, right? But it's been done. It's that important. Here are the steps to our syndication product. As Rochelle has mentioned in past trainings, right? What is our true North Star? What is the engine that leads all of our services?
Intent.
There you go. Steve, we used to, if I had any Motivosity bucks left to give this month, I'd give you one, but I'm fresh out. I splurge Motivosity like a kid in a candy store. I'll put you down for October 1st with $1. We used to just take content, Steve, and just rip it out into the universe. I have an IT white paper. I'm going to just hit the button and launch that thing like Kim Jong-un, half in the bag. Just launch that thing out into the IT world. IT white paper, send it to 10 million IT people. Engage. That's not good enough anymore. That's not good enough for our clients, and it's not really good enough for us. First thing I want to do, Steve, is use intent, use my engine, right? That wizard ball, right? And I want to figure out, who should I send this content to? Yes, I could send an IT white paper to 23.2 million IT decision makers. But that's a lot of work on our end from like a promotion standpoint, right? And I already know that 700,000 of those people are probably in market for something at any given time. And there's a lot less that are actually in market for whatever specific IT solution this little white paper is talking about. So out of 23 million people, Steve, and I have a little remote workforce management ebook, why don't I just find, out of those 23 million, why don't I find the 5,000 people that are trending in IT remote workforce management and just send the white paper to them? Wouldn't that make more sense? That would make more sense for me from a operational standpoint. And also, I want to give our clients the best lead possible. So I'm going to start by promoting content in front of people who I already know are showing signs of being in market for remote workforce management. Right? It is the Pure Predict is the engine that steers everything, right? Intent's going to tell us who and where should we go. Cool. We've identified these people based upon all the keywords that they're trending in on. And that's who I'm going to promote my clients' related content to. The next step, right, is that we want to make sure that of these 5,000 people that are trending, our team on the back end starts organizing that data, right? Of the 5,000 people that are trending, who do we have the right IT decision maker for? Who of these people are in our database? Who of these people that are trending fit the company size parameters that our client wants, or the geographical parameters, right? John, we might have 5,000 people trending in remote workforce management, but our client only wants North America. Okay, so now we're looking at like 4,000, right? And they want only companies that are 100 employees or more. So now we're actually working with like 2,000. So step 2 is, after we've identified who's in market, who is primed and pumped, ready for the content, we need to match that up with our audience, with our database, who our client wants, and make sure that all the filters and parameters are locked in and ready to go. We've now, on the back end, through our database, we've now segmented a perfect list, a list of companies that and people that fit our clients' parameters, all their little filters and firmographics, and are also in market for the solution that we're promoting for. Then the next step begins. We have the content, we have the group of people. It's time to connect. The next step is the actual promotion of that content, where through both email and phone outreach, we take a multi-channel approach. That's something you guys are probably going to want to store in the brain. We take a multi-channel approach to promoting this content. Sometimes you guys might get an email that just looks like this. Like you get like a little like PDF looking HTML one pager that kind of like looks like this, and it'd be like read more, and you can click read more and it takes you to a landing page or something like that. Hang on, lost my thing. So we'll kind of promote the content. It looks like this. If you guys haven't got somebody that's maybe just haven't been in a position that you were like a buyer at a company you haven't been sold to, right? But we'll send out emails that look like just this little thing on the left. It's like the back of a novel, right? Like, John, you ever go to a library or whatever, you know, you get a book in like literature class back in the day, and you read the back of the book, like, oh, this one's gonna suck, you know, or whatever. So you get a little teaser. So our client, right, log me in on our behalf, we send this thing out, and it starts hitting thousands of people's email inboxes. And we just tease the piece a little bit, John, like, hey, 4 traits of effective remote support tools. We tell them a little bit about it. And if it piques their interest, like, oh, like we have a remote team now and we don't know what the hell we're doing. Like, guess what? This was a hot topic about this time last year. No, not this time, 16 months ago. They'd hit read more, and that takes them to this landing page that we host. Notice this landing page, guys, looks a lot like this, right? Because we need to capture their information. We give them a chance to read a little bit more, Steve. If they want to read a little bit more, they can read a few more paragraphs, a few bullet points. Like, yeah, this is something that I want. This is some information that I need to digest. They can put in their information here. Most of our audience is opted in, so based upon cookies, some of it's auto-populated, or some of it you can just click in and it will then auto-populate itself. Be a mixed bag. But of course, they can edit any information that pre-populates. And then they just hit download now, or get link, or watch now, or view now, or whatever the little blue button call to action is. And we do this hundreds and thousands at a time. Right, we're taking our clients' content that they want to promote to relevant buyers, and we push it out to those buyers. Sometimes, depending on the job titles that people want to target, or the job levels, or the geographical area of their target, we can't do it via email. Can't do cold email blasts in Canada. Canadian CAN-SPAM Act. Can't really do mass cold email in Europe either. That's not GDPR compliant. Some parts of the world, they don't let you just mass blast emails. So we call them. I'll call you, Steve, and say, hey, Steve, my name's Jeff. I'm calling from Software Trends. We're promoting a piece of content for trades of effective remote support tools. Is that a piece you'd be interested in receiving? Right. And if you say yes, cool, confirm your contact details and we'll email you the piece because you opted in to receive that email over the phone. If no, hang up and move on. We have a large telemarketing organization in India, in the Philippines, whatever, that make a lot of these outbound calls as it relates to certain parts of the world or certain job titles. That's the multi-channel approach. I can't zoom in, right? But if I could, you would read this, and this basically says something similar to this, which is like, hey, if you click here, like you are opting into LogMeIn's database information, and that legally lets them mass market to you, John. They can put you in a marketing automation platform and just send you stuff until you unsubscribe or opt out or leave it. Marketers can't do a whole lot with contacts that aren't opted in. For legal purposes and for software purposes, a lot of software that marketers use, their automation platforms like HubSpot, Marketo, Eloqua, Pardot, right? All those things, they require you to upload into them opted in contacts because they don't want to be on the hook for you just mass blasting people that did not agree to be mass blasted. That's why syndication is popular, because we give people a scalable, cost-effective way to build their marketable database through this process. You might be wondering, why are we promoting from Software Trends? Isn't our company Demand Science? Demand Science and other similar companies are competitors in the space: TechTarget, Netline, DemandWorks, Madison Logic, whatever, IDG. We all have fake alter ego alias brands online. Steve, if I call you and say, hey, I'm calling from Demand Science, our client XYZ is promoting this, it feels a little biased. So we promote and host content on what appears to be at the surface an unbiased third-party thought leadership site like Software Trends. Just a brand. Software Trends just sounds like a website you would go to if you were looking for unbiased software advice, John. So that's what we ride. All of our competitors, everybody has their, guides, foresights, their enterprise guide, BitPipe, like whatever. Right? We send this hundreds and thousands out at a time, and as people download and engage, we pass their information over to our clients. This person here, first name, last name, email, phone number, whatever, they downloaded this piece, here you go. They download your piece, here you go. They downloaded your piece. And these companies pay big money to get all these people and say, oh, Steve Wilbert just downloaded my white paper about XYZ. Great. Our clients don't have the audience. They don't have the database. We have 130 million B2B decision makers at Demand Science. That's a lot of buyers and a lot of people that our clients want to reach out to, but they can't. Right? I tried to explain this to my mom like 4 years ago when I started Pure B2B. I actually explained it to her long before that because I came from the industry from a competitor. She couldn't wrap her mind around it. So here's what I'll bottom line it for you guys. Think of us as like a digital magazine or newspaper, newsletter. Our clients want access to our subscriber network. So they take out an ad. It's basically what this is. They're not quite advertisee, right? And nor is it print publication. But we have a huge subscriber-based network. like USA Today, right? And you have a lot of people that want to advertise in USA Today because there's no other way for them to reach that massive subscriber network of 38 million people. Only way to do it is to go through USA, take out a 12 by 12 ad. That's basically what we offer people. I'm sure Rochelle kind of covered or will cover this particular slide with you. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but a differentiator we have is how we QA and deliver the leads. We can auto pass the leads pretty much right into their system, or we can manually QA them and send them over like in an Excel file. Similar to the Excel file you guys saw we exported out of Ladero. First name, last name, email, phone number, website, whatever. But we organize our data better than other companies in the space, right? You have, for example, what you see here on the right is maybe how one of our competitors would organize the data versus how we would organize it. Somebody comes to us, Stephen, like, hey, I want HR decision makers. Or I want HR manager plus. Our competitors might deliver them like senior recruiting titles or something like that. But I know deep down that when ADP comes to me and they want an HR decision maker, they don't want a recruiter. They want an HR person. Even though recruiters are part of the HR department, and you would think like, oh yeah, they're an HR. No. So we stat and organize our data a little bit better to make sure that, hey, when our clients say, I want an IT decision maker, I don't give them a help desk person. That's not who's buying IBM. Right, newsflash. That was a little deep in the weeds, but is what it is. That's essentially content syndication. It's all about matching relevant brands with relevant buyers and helping bridge that gap and getting that content in front of those people and letting them engage and interact as they see fit. And as those engagements come to fruition and as those leads come in and we capture that information, right? The beauty of us not being USA Today and the beauty of not advertising in print media anymore is because, John, if I put an ad in USA Today, I have no idea whether someone reads that ad or not. They ballpark you on like, yeah, we have a subscriber base and X number of people make it to page 26 and then X, whatever, but you're not sitting there in Gladys's living room in front of the fireplace being like, oh, did you see my ad? You're like, you have no idea. But this is online, right? I know if someone reads this piece because they have to hit download now and I capture their information. There's no guesswork. They put in their info, they hit download now, they get the asset, I get their information, even trade. Our clients like that guarantee. You might be wondering, why would somebody pay $40 for a lead when they can go in Ladero and pay 40 cents for a contact? You can buy Francis Phipps for 40 cents. Or we could try to generate Francis Phipps for $40. The difference in the $39.60, folks, is this information in the opt-in. Their sales team can target Francis here, but their marketing team really can't do much with her because she is not opted in. But marketing is a powerful department. And if you give them enough data that's quality, they can drive a lot of results. And that's why a lot of people might want Francis Phipps via content syndication program because they're trying to build their marketable opt-in database and not just their Salesforce CRM for their sales reps. Same person, different price points, different tactics, different legal ramifications for reaching out to that person. Content syndication is just very, very top funnel. It's just about finding the right person at the right company. They're not in market, they're not ready for a demo, they have no budget, they have no approval, they might have no actual power. But the people that research content are usually have a stake in the buying process. They're usually manager, director level. You don't get a lot of C-level people or VPs reading a ton of content, maybe here and there. But usually if Chris Rack wants to buy something, he's like, hey, Jeff, go research this, figure it out. Let me know what you find. Line up a couple of vendors. Then I go out and I start reading this, or Lazar or AJ will go out and start reading this information, figuring out what's what, who knows what, where should I go, who offers this. So the B2B buying sales funnels are very large. Time, it takes a long time. The average SaaS cycle, 12 to 24 months for your standard B2B sales cycle. Why? It's because people lock each other into long-term contracts, and there's a lot of decision makers that go into buying technology, and there's usually not cheap. So you have a large budget acquisition process. You don't just wake up one day and be like, I need IBM. Someone go find me $250,000 in our budget. Like, no, usually you wait till next year when you redo the budget and you slot it in on a line item. But it's important that you make sure that that 12 months is a really, really long time. The 24 months is a really long time. So start now. Nobody wakes up at the bottom. To be at the bottom, you find yourself in the middle before that. To be at the middle, you start here. All roads begin here at the top. Only my wife on Amazon wakes up at the bottom of the funnel. I promise you that. Just boom, just ready, just buy everything now. Especially now that we have a brand new daughter. Like, she has more clothes than I do. She's 6 months old. Just ready to make a purchase, no buying committee, no stakeholdership. Trust me. And no budget. So it's all about getting in front of them, early. What intent does, hang on. I'm gonna pull up our handy dandy sales funnel. From our 5 Ws. Talk about how content syndication is at the top, right? By layering intent on is also not a magic bullet. Just because step one is find companies that are showing signs of being in market and promoting content, that's not your one-way ticket to the middle of the funnel or the bottom or anything like that. Intent is not a silver spoon here. What layering intent on top of our programs does is it brings what would otherwise be a top funnel lead, Steve, to probably the bottom part of the top of the funnel. You might be thinking to yourself, Julian, like, wow, that's a lot of work, time, effort, buzzwords, and energy just to get me somebody that's another half-inch down on your screen. We talk about intent. Like, intent is like, it's everything. It drives our entire operation. You mean to tell me that all that, your whole engine, everything, just gets somebody from here to right here? Yeah. Because the top funnel's a real bitch. Companies spend years in the top of the funnel identifying problems, experiencing problems, then identifying them, trying to get budget for them, then trying to get approval, then getting ready to buy it, and then something happens or a new problem comes in, or maybe that thing's self-solved for itself, and then you have a new set of problems, then you identify those problems, and then you get budget for them, and then you get a new CEO, new direction, new problems, identifying new things. Pandemics hit, change everything, right? People just spend endless. How many people here came from a company that the day they got there, they had a certain pain point or problem? The day you left, they had that same problem. Please, everyone, raise your hand. You wouldn't have joined our company if they were just solving problems that effectively, right? We've all been at a company that my first day on the job, I was like, this is a problem. And then 2 years later, I'm like, y'all still have that same problem. They're just living in the top of the funnel. It's this endless hamster wheel of like, I have a problem, I think I need to fix it, and all the shit that needs to be done to fix it. What layering intent does is it helps sort out some of that noise, and it helps try to get people that are actively researching a solution to that problem. In that they've got enough people that are causing their company to show up on the intent radar that are actively researching it. They're showing a sustained group committed effort to tackling this issue. And what will happen after that point is budget gets acquired, stakeholders get approval, they start taking demos, they start taking meetings, they start joining webinars, and they start making an actual buying decision. But none of that starts until you realize A, you have a problem, B, this problem needs to be solved. And we know that companies can spend a lot of time in that endless cycle. What intent does is it tries to calm all that noise down and get you focused on the people. Everybody's got the problem, but who's trying to research and solve this problem? That's what intent solves for. I know most companies right now are still trying to solve the remote workforce world, the new normal. I know that 90% of companies out there aren't really doing it that well. I also know that probably 20% of those companies actually have plans to do anything about it. And that's what intent finds. And ultimately, it's up to the marketing team and eventually the sales team to get that person from the top to the bottom through a variety of budget, tools, tactics, platforms, and teams. Julian, where you come into play, brother, is because billing and revenue management for content syndication is kind of a nightmare. Like, we sign the contract, that's the order. Hey, we want 500 leads, Jeff. Cool. Now we generate those leads, and then we deliver those leads, and then we bill for those leads. So it's like, this is not like I buy a hot dog and here's $2 and we're done here, right? There's this revenue schedule of what's been generated, what's been delivered, and what's been billed for.
I have a question. So if you get them to a specific point where they say, yes, I will take advantage of that 500 leads, is it a fair question to ask as a salesperson, how long would it take you to get through those 500 leads so you can obviously prime them for other opportunities to kind of whet their beak?
Absolutely. So all of our programs, we guarantee 3 things up front, Steve. Before a contract is signed, we guarantee how many leads we deliver, the cost per those leads, and the time frame that we will deliver those leads by. How many leads, cost per lead, time frame. So everyone knows before they sign what they're financially on the hook for and when this program is going to be done. And it's up to the sales rep as that campaign starts winding down to have another conversation. Hey, let's renew next quarter. Content syndication, generally speaking, is renewed on a quarter by quarter basis. You book a company in Q1, you want to renew them in Q2. Ideally, you renew them for more leads in Q2 and then more leads in Q3. And this next statement is a little bit less for the non-sales folks on this call, but for Steve and John, guys, this stuff snowballs. Like, people in this industry making a lot of money on our sales team because you book somebody. All right, sometimes getting a new client's hard, like it is in any business. You pitch, you close, you follow up, you prospect, you do all this stuff, right? You finally get a client, Steve. All that work, right? They run the campaign, they like it. You know how easy it is to renew? It's like, hey, Steve, you want another contract? Yeah, done, signed. And hopefully it's maybe for more money or more leads and they're growing, right? What was a 500 lead program turns into 700 leads, turns into 900 leads, turns into 2,000 leads. And you're renewing them every quarter. Meanwhile, you're getting new logos in the mix and you get the snowball effect where you keep adding new companies and those companies keep re-upping and buying more and more, and then this thing just keeps going. Our quotas are predicated on that snowball, right? But that's the general idea of like how this stuff works. Yeah. That's all I got, folks. questions. Good question so far, though. Good from Steve and John. Anybody else?
So on the content syndication front, is it purely on the CPL basis that
Yes.
the contracts are on?
Yep.
Okay. And then for like this demonstration and like these products, is this all one product, or are there multiple products within this process of content syndication?
That's a good question. So we have some sub products, Julian. The process all works the same, but sometimes we have situations where clients will come to us and they'll want content syndication, Julian, but they'll give us a list of companies and say, we already know who we want to go after. Save your intent, save your whatever. Here's a list of companies. Go generate leads from them. Go syndicate content to them. And that's called like, pure syndication, ABM, account-based marketing, right? So there's like a little kind of, sub product under that.
Cool. Do you have any like resources like with the sub products and just knowing what each offering provides from like a training perspective?
I will shortly. I'm holding off on that because we are rebranding the names of all of our products as we go from pure B2B to demand science. Anything I send you will be outdated in the next like 5 weeks. So my suggestion would just be to just kind of hang on, and then we'll do it all right one way when the products get renamed, hopefully sooner than 5 weeks, but you never know. And that shit's above my pay grade. So I'll tell you when that's done.
All good. And then just from like a subscription versus a CPL basis, the only current subscription offering that we're running is kind of the Ladiro platform.
We have one other platform that's a subscription basis. It's called CAP. It's our content analytics platform. This is very new, very raw. Like I don't think we've sold one yet. We also have a process that's like kind of like syndication, but kind of not. It's not a content syndication product that's done on a subscription basis, usually 12 months, but lately we've been rep selling it at a 6-month subscription. That's called Pure Pulse. Again, something that will likely be renamed. That's on a lead delivered basis, so it feels and looks like content syndication, Julian, but it's not that product line. It's called Pure Polls. It's basically a survey base where we reach out to our audience and we ask them a survey question. There's no real like content being attached to it. But if people answer the survey a certain way, we capture their information like syndication and we pass it over and they'll sign up. It's like 90,000 for the year, and that includes like up to 250 leads a month per month or whatever.
Okay.
It's a new product. We can kind of jump into that. It's a much more fringe product, hopefully maybe less fringe later on, but that's the scoop.
Cool. All right, that's all I had. I mean, I'm gonna have a bunch of questions when the new products come out, probably just because like I have to think of it just how we account for it and all the different implications of being on a subscription level versus a CPL, and where that line gets gray, it becomes really complicated from the accounting standpoint, but just trying to figure that out.
You're absolutely right. And it's a tricky part about having you and maybe sometimes like other folks from other departments join these, because like these trainings are sales oriented, right? Like I can't even begin to like unpack all that. I can help you understand what's what and the products and things like that. But if you ever seen me in a math class before, send prayers, my dude, because that's an ugly scene and I can't even begin to help you on that front.
Yeah, no, these are super helpful. I just know how to sell it. These are super helpful. Thank you for including me.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else? All right. Folks, we have Halloween trivia at like 1:45 today. Anybody joining that? I think new hires, I think you guys are in on it. Rochelle, did you forward them the invite for that?
I have it from somebody.
So maybe HR sent it out. Okay.
I got invited too.
I didn't know when they sent it out versus when y'all started. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully I'll catch you guys for that. And any questions, you guys know where to find me, all right?
Sounds like a plan. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.